Hey there friends, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. So I have a show and tell for you today, and today we are stamping for the Stamping with Friends blog hop. Our theme today is the mirroring technique. So this is when you take an image and you actually want the mirror image of it on your project. So sometimes they do images that are facing each other, which is what we're going to do today, and sometimes you just want it to face the other direction. So you can use this technique to get either effect. Okay, so we're going to be using the bird's eye view stamp set. And I'm going to use this one bird, and I'm going to use the little branch as well. So when I do this mirroring technique, I need a transfer sheet, okay? So you can use our silicone craft mat, which is what I'm going to use, or you can even use the little silicone sheet that comes in your stamp sets. When you open your sets, and they're specifically when they're the polymer, they have two sheets. They have the thicker one that the stamps are mounted on, and then they have this little cover protective sheet to keep them from getting dusty. But you can take that sheet out and use that as your transfer sheet. So don't feel like you have to go out and buy the silicone mat, but it is kind of nice to have it. Okay, so I'm going to use the silicone mat today, but this one will work just fine. Now the thing is, when you stamp your image for the transfer, you have to be careful not to slide your stamp because the transfer sheet is not grippy, right? It's just got a smooth surface. So what I'm going to do first is stamp one bird. Now I'm choosing to stamp the bird in reverse first, just so I don't have to worry about lining it up with a pre-stamped image. So I'm going to stamp my bird. I'm using Early Espresso, and I'm going to stamp him, it doesn't really matter, I'm going to stamp him right here on my sheet. And I'll be careful to press and lift and trying really hard not to smudge him. Okay, so that just transfers the ink from my stamp to my silicone mat. So now I'm going to flip this over, and in my head I'm going to have the branch down here and then the two birds. So I can see my cardstock underneath, but I'm just going to place my bird there, okay, and then I'm just going to press. If you have a brayer, you could use a brayer over the top to transfer that ink. You could just use your fingers, just go over the top of it. So your finger is now kind of like your stamp. So you're transferring the image onto your cardstock. See? Okay. Then I'm going to bring my stamp back. Actually, this time I'm going to do the branch first, because now I can line my branch up underneath my little birdie's feet, because I can see through my clear block. And then I'm going to take my bird and give him a partner here on the branch, like they're sitting there having a little powwow. So let's see, right like that. And there we go. That's the simple mirroring technique. So you use a transfer sheet and a stamp that you want either looking at each other, or if you just want it facing the other direction, that's fine too. So there's that. So now I'm just going to put a quick card together for you using these images. First I'm going to add some color. So we've had blue jays in our yard this week, so I thought I would go ahead and do blue jay birds for us. Now, of course, these aren't exactly the colorings, but they're kind of fun. So first I'm going to add azure blue, which is one of our new blues. And I'm just going to color, kind of give him like stripes on his wings. So, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to do this one just a little bit different in the pattern, because no two birds, I'm sure, are going to be exactly alike. We're just going to do him a little bit like that. Then I'm going to come in with crumb cake. I'm going to let that bird dry just a little bit. I don't want the ink to smear. So now I'm going to come in with my crumb cake, and I'm just going to shade my branch. And you could use any coloring technique you want. You want to watercolor them, then do it after they dry. You can do yours with blends. Just be careful not to pick up that outlined image. If you do it with blends, you probably want to stamp it with Memento. But I'm just going to color this in the good old-fashioned way with my Stampin' Right markers. So enjoy it. I'm going to put a little bit of this color in his wings. Why not, right? Okay, and I'll do his beak just like this. Okay, and then I'm going to do balmy blue for the bodies, because I don't want them to be too dark. I want nice full color, so I'm just going to take my time and go back and forth and color in the birds. So while you're visiting the hop today, you're going to be able to see lots of crafters who are going to showcase this technique, so you'll have lots of different ideas how to do the technique. I'm sure there's more than one way to do it, and also our different ideas of how to use it in your projects. So make sure you hop along with all the links and see all the different crafters today. Alright, we're almost done. We're almost done. I know, coloring takes time. This is the part you're supposed to enjoy. So there's that, and then I'll just finish off his tail feathers with this bright blue again. I like this new bright blue. Okay. So there's our focal image, and that's our mirroring technique. So now I'm just going to put this together. I've prepped a card base, and I'm going to make mine a pop-up base. So bear with me for a second here. So I've scored it a few different times. I'll put all the measurements on my blog right up, so you don't have to guess. But I have a little, wow, I have a little 1/2 inch section here that I'm going to fold back if my glue decides to work. Holy moly. I don't think I was prepared today. No, I probably got too much. Alright, so I'm going to fold that back on itself. Press that down for a second. I'll put my bone folder there to hold that while we work on the next part. I'm going to mount this. Well, maybe I'm not. That needs to be a heavier mount. Okay. Let's put this there. Alright, that'll do. So I'm just going to layer this up on a piece of azure blue, which is one of the blues I used to color the birds. He's going to go just like that. And then I've borrowed a die from the Darling Details die, this little edger, and I've made 2 edges that I'm going to put on my card, one for the bottom, one for the top, and I just slipped some of that balmy blue ribbon through the slats there, and then crisscrossed it back and pulled it back through just to create a little bow. And I have sentiments that are die cut out with the Charming Sentiment stamp set. So those are ready to go. So let's see. Press that down. So one of these is going to go right along in here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive, not too much, just along the edge here, and then I'm going to have to cut it to fit my project. So, but I just wanted a little frilly edge on my card here. So this is going to go down like this, right along the edge. And then the other one I'm going to put along this edge on the front, right in here. So I'm going to do the same thing. This time though, I'm not going to put any adhesive along that straight edge at the top, and you'll see why in just a minute. I'm going to have to position my other stamped images there. So I'm just going to do this, and then I'm putting this right in line with the edge. Overlap just a little, that scalloped edge. Okay, so then this guy is going to go right in here. Okay, so we only want to put adhesive on the bottom, that way we'll have a stand-up card. So I'm just sliding this in under the top ridge of that die cut, and press all of that down so it adheres. And then I just need to come in with my paper snips and give everything a trim. So I'm going to trim this edge here. And I'm going to go on this side. Trim that. And I'm going to come down here and trim this. And one more over here. Okay. So there's my little pieces all edged up. when this guy sits, he'll be sitting like that. So kind of like an easel card, right? With those pretty edges and those little birds. And then I've got my two little sentiments here, my hey there and what's new. I'm just going to put those on mini dimensionals. And I'm going to put one on each of the little embellished edges here, one there. And when the card is flat, one over here. So there we go. There's my little project for today's hop. I hope you liked it. And I'll have all the measures and details of what I used on my write-up. And enjoy the hop today. Alright? And try some mirroring technique. Okay guys, I'll stamp again with you real soon. Bye-bye.